Good evening. So we begin with a prayer. Om Nase Namdara Jinundu Pe, Taji Juju Jino Jubayi, Sangi Judangi Du Papeso, Kuna Chazeta Chatashu, the Makibu. Shibi Nimbeka Rapadamba, Kuna Gumba Jaji Dubaje, Numbadra Bazara Bedane, Zimjem Jero. Ism the Batsarap Trouble Day, Sensum the Beta Ship Pepe, the worship Wakila Chazalo, Jambation of it. There is a one Gumbojan Pepe, saying you put the Banam Braze, Numgani Bobajo. Obeda Jepegano Shidan, who put the water to Numai, Chazal and Umbrashipe. Changes and Bagala, Chazalo, and Gender Jetashi Sergania, Dujo Bazayung. Yenadunda Buzo Pepe, Minu Gezem, Jerocolo, and Jenda Jujay. Chuduja Jingajima, Gizong, Woden Pepe, Trashel, Mugela, Chazalo, Sumbajin Buddhism. McDonald and Yabo Yokozo, Pajabo, Mimizan, Namtes Salazar. Tijula Dono Jeze, Piwanda, Chidang, Sasum the Zogili. Jidanga Wangela Chazalo, Dajating the Richawazum Bala, Getan Yawarsawa, Kunjini, the Pepe, some to Asian Drup, Tashi de Le Pusum Sobarsho, Dajating the Richawazum Bala. Getan Yawarsawa, Kunjini, the Pepe, some to Asian Drup, Tashi de Le Pusum Sobarsho, Dajating the Richawa. Gedan Yawarsawa, Kunjini, the Pepe, some to Asian Drup, Tashi de Le Pusum. Chumnende para gumboji in Japan, Cha, Salo, Congilu, the meeting in Tadaru. Yitanam Tarabsavi, Chingi to which is in Zijinikado. And as a Bezara Marimudum do one his. Tosokuna, Puchiktarzi, Yanatuji, Yondansung, Rudrachero, Yomonino, Legature, Marimusidu. Chingi Josera Tenam, Denisa Jesajitor, the Indonesia, Tobacco, Chitaji. Dalo Mosi Jampariana, Marapsanati, 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 Kurum that the Jajishin, Paubetana, Sheriff Britain, Lequazimage. Gumbajame, Yana Chasa, the Gonzata, the bomb, choose a Tibertane, Gumbajame. King me Parian to Morsho, Gonzata, the bomb, choose a Tibert. Gumbajame, the Yinki, came me Parian to Morsho, Gonzata, the bomb, choose a Tibertane, Gumbajame. King me Parian to Morsho. Where is the gong? Thank you. So, tonight, meditation session, but before meditation, I should speak something about meditation. So, when we talk about meditation, basically we are talking about the mind, period. So there's been, since Buddhism doesn't follow like most teaching in this world believe in a creator. And Buddhism doesn't believe in a creator. Your mind is the create. Your mind is the, I'm not saying that you are the God. Buddhism believes that your mind is the creator. Your experience of your life, you experience joy or sad or pain or suffering is your own creation, your own mind creation. So therefore, mind becomes a very important point to know the mind. What is mind, since that is the case? Otherwise, there would be no emphasis why mind should be studied and investigated and know about the mind. If everything is created by some external entity, then you don't have to do anything. You can just, because that entity created it, and it can dissolve it, it can create it. But then, if you say, if things are in nature, things are like that, then what about your pain and suffering, which is so distinctive in your life? That doesn't look like maybe someone created it and dumped you. That wouldn't be the nature of the God then. Because if there is a creator, there has to be three qualities in a creator, called all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-compassionate. Those are the three qualities of a creator, if there is a creator. As I said, your pain, that you are anguish in your pain, whether physical pain or mental pain, is not a joke, in a way. It's very real. So, were you dumped by God or Bhagwan or Allah, whatever we call? Or maybe really there isn't a creator. It must be my own negativity experience, or out of my own confusion. That question comes. Now, if there is a creator, it should have those three qualities: all-knowing, all-powerful, all-compassionate. So the all-knowing will not create a creation where there can be suffering and problem happens afterwards. Because by all-knowing, someone creates a creation where there is suffering and problem, then it's not compassionate. So one loses the other side. It's not compassionate. If it's compassionate, it will not make the mistake by misusing abuse, we call abuse, or through the power, creating a creation like a joke, creating a creation that which can have problem. That's like abuse of power. So, you see, those are very logical questions. So it's all-powerful, and then if it's all-powerful, it can dissolve its creation. Okay, like a scientist experiment in the laboratory, oh, this is not right, let's get rid of that. Because when they're all-powerful, creating a creation, if things are really like that, would not like to be seen suffering. And so you see, all these questions are very fundamental questions when we look at the nature of creation. How is creation? Who creates creation? You all know Mother Teresa. She's worked in Calcutta in the very poor state in India, and a lot of, she did amazing social service, taking care of lepers and poor, and tremendous. She is a Catholic nun. And when she died, it was in the Time magazine, American Time magazine, not Indian Time magazine. Time magazine, she gave up Christianity when she died. Because she said, if there is a God, will not create so much suffering. This is in the Time magazine. And of course, Catholic Church would not accept that. I'm not making it up. This in her own words, and it's in the Time magazine. So those questions come. Now, since they're similar, whether it's Hinduism, Islam, there's a creation. So therefore, it's a faith-based religion. You blindly, and there's been wars in that creed. You give a different name, there are wars. Allah, or God, or Bhagwan. You didn't like that name, there are wars. So many wars. So now in Buddhism, when Buddha came, after his enlightenment, then first teaching Buddha said, recognize suffering, that's the core issue that we all have. How do we get rid of our suffering? Whatever our suffering is, we all want to be free of suffering. That's the core of the question, core issue, the main thing in all our life. How do I get rid of suffering? And that is the first noble truth of saying, someone finally admitting there is suffering. Admit that and recognize that. Therefore, it's called noble truth of suffering. Because, interestingly, Pope John Paul, he wrote a book. He wrote a book called People of the Book. And People of the Book was Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. That's Abrahamic lineage. And Pope said, those three are like brothers, so to speak. Not exact word, but kind of like people of the book. Buddhism, then he mentioned particularly, Buddhism is not people of the book, it's outside. And what Pope said, Buddhism does not glorify, but Buddhism speaks about suffering. So, very interesting. Buddhism speaks about first noble truth is suffering, because that's the core of the issue. If you have a pain, you have to admit you have a pain. That's the core of the issue. Then you go to the doctor, and then you say, please apply a medicine, how I can get rid of this pain. You don't say, I'm fine, nothing is happening. Just everything is glory. It's unrealistic. You're so out of touch with reality. So speaking about there is suffering, and we try to escape, we try to push things in so many ways. For example, when we speak about death, we try to deny death, especially in a rich country like America, Europe. People like to cling to their things, whatever it is. And when we speak about death, people want to push it away. We deny, in denial. So same thing is denial about looking at the core of the issue. The pain or the word suffering or the pain is too scary because you have all this suffering, and when you try to recognize it, it's like scary, but that is the only way how you can address the issue. By addressing the issue, recognizing there is suffering, then the medicine, how to apply, which is the second noble truth. If there is suffering, Buddha said, there's a cause to the suffering. Suffering do not happen without cause. Suffering is not random. It's not just like accident. It's not created by a third party, but it's created by your affliction, mental affliction. ignorant and mental affliction. So the cause of suffering is ignorance and mental affliction. And that's called, the mental deeds, speech deed, and physical deed. For example, you think of harming someone. First it comes in your mind. Then you say a bad word. Then you kick him or her, whatever. Then you create a complete negative karma, the deed. And of course, instantly you will put to jail, first of all. And then many other karmas, negative experience will follow through. So, therefore, first recognize our situation, condition, being realistic, and then the second, look at the cause of it. It is not created. You can't blame God. The problem of the philosophy of creation is they haven't really looked deeper. If they really look deeper, that philosophy backfires on themselves. Because then, if it is the creator, then you have to say the creator have created everything. That's what exactly in Islam, in Hinduism, in Christianity, in shamanism, all the same different name, but the same basic. Basically, it's the same thing if you look at the structure. A little different, but all created. Then, if it is created by a creation, from the analytical point of view, then that includes heaven, that includes earth, that includes hell. Right? Everything. You can't say God has only created some and not created some. He's whether you're Bhagwan or God or whatever, the creator created everything, it is said. If everything is created by a creator, that includes hell realm. So one time Dalai Lama was joking. Somebody has to go to hell, otherwise what's the purpose of creating hell? Logically, you have to admit that. And of course we said, oops, that's not very nice. But oops, maybe abuse of power? Or got distracted creating hell? You see, all those things will backfire logically. So therefore it shows it is not possible if there is an all-knowing, compassionate, wisdom, powerful, even it creates, it can dissolve. In an instant, it can make it vanish. But that's not the case. Here people are languishing day and night, and in America, going to psychiatrists and taking expensive pill, and you name it. It's just like depression and pain, and people have to go through this, the job problem, this problem, that problem. Then animals have their own problem. Each small ones are eaten by the big ones are eaten by the small one. Like continuous chain of life, there's so much suffering during the day, suffering during the night. Your dreams are violent, your dreams are nightmarish, your dreams are having this, I couldn't sleep well. Look at all those things. Why would a compassionate creator, if there is such, would create such thing? It's not possible. That's why Mother Teresa, she gave up. I can understand that. So you have to use logical. In Buddhism, logic is very important because Buddha said, don't take my words because I said so. Check my words, analyze my word, investigate my word. If it makes sense, accept, otherwise don't, he said. He made that clear from the beginning. He said, just because I said so. No, you check, analyze. So much. Then when we check and analyze, where does it come to? Mind. A study of mind. That's where the practice of meditation comes. Then, such as the practice of compassion. There are also other wonderful teaching in Christianity, a lot of emphasis on compassion. That's wonderful, wonderful. But when it comes to creator, then there's big difference between Buddhism and philosophy. Buddhism and Christianity, big difference. Buddhism and Islam, Buddhism and Hinduism, big difference. So, because Buddhism says there's no creator. But on the compassionate level, wonderful, all agree. On that level, all agree. Then further compassion, to understand compassion, Buddhism have far deeper knowledge about compassion. And how? Because of the interdependent teaching. Interdependent teaching on Buddhism makes you understand compassion so clearly. That's the non-theistic approach, meaning of compassion. While in the theistic tradition, whether it's Hinduism or Christianity, Judaism, compassion is like there's no compassion is more independent state. In other words, in like a few years ago, I heard in some place in America, there is one state, and there was like the question of creationism and evolutionarism. Creationism, if you believe in creationism, you cannot follow evolutionarism. If you follow evolutionary, you cannot follow creationism because they're contradictory view. Creationism is independent kind of looking things as entity created by God, real eternalism. While evolutionary is based on interdependent, organic, sort of interdependent. So therefore, in Buddhist teaching, compassion is not necessarily religious. It's by nature that, for example, when we all survive with tremendous love and care of our mother when we're growing up. So it's a biological factor also. Of course, there is consciousness involved. It's not just like lump of meat, but there's a consciousness involved. So biological factor, which includes the consciousness mind, your mother raising you with love and care, which is natural for a mother, and her love and care. That biological factor, today you are strong and healthy, we are all sitting in this room due to our mother. And then when it's further, day-to-day experience that most ordinary people come into contact, seeking happiness, comes from others' good affection and love and care. Whether you eat food, whether you have a good neighbor, or whether you have someone, being patient. Okay, I see you have a problem, so you couldn't pay the dues this month. Okay, pay next month, or whatever, something like that. So all comes with affection. Affection comes based on interdependent. You also have to open up, the other also open up. Then the play of that brings that happiness in your life. It's interdependent. Objective and subjective, and all the factors. That's how joy, relative joy, our five sensorial pleasure, something in the eyes, something in the ears, something in the smell and taste, all comes from with the affection of others, and others get that from your affection. So all those different factors, no one factor makes it, many factors. So therefore, relative joy. It's not absolute. We all know sensorial pleasure cannot last forever. It's conditioned. It can only last its duration, its energy. Once that duration and energy is dissolved, then it changes. But so is relative happiness, relative, and it's also called relative compassion. Anything to do with the source of relative comes from duality. When you look at the mind, duality. Anyway, so that one is all phenomena is interdependent. Nagarjuna, one of the greatest master of Mahayana teaching, he says, all phenomena, there is no phenomena which is not interdependent, and there is no phenomena which is not emptiness. Emptiness means absence of fixation, absence of independence. That's what emptiness means. Because it's interdependent, therefore there is no fixation, independent state. We know the word interdependent and independent are two contradictory, right? First of all, they are contradictory. Independent, being interdependent, not possible. So he said, all phenomena is interdependent. There's no phenomena which is not interdependent, and there's no phenomena which is not emptiness. Meaning emptiness means absence of that independent fixation, because once it's interdependent means it's not independent. That which is not independent is called emptiness in Buddhism. That's what emptiness means. It doesn't mean nothingness. The independent is more like a mental imagination. The reality function on interdependent. Also, the greatest scientist, Einstein, he found a theory called theory of relativity. He didn't say the theory of eternalism. He didn't say that. And then he further said, the religion of the future will be Buddhism. Einstein said. Because Einstein saw with the discovery of theory of relativity, you see interdependent, and you also see absence of independent, which is the source energy power coming in some way. So therefore, Nagarjuna said, whoever is emptiness, everything is possible. Whoever is not emptiness, nothing is possible. It makes sense, philosophically, very clear. So then, now these two kinds of phenomena, relative and absolute. Relative is day-to-day our living is all relative phenomena. And relative phenomena in its essence is absolute. So now the problem comes here, even we understand theoretically, but the problems come some kind of split between relative, and if it's, we cannot really say, it can never become a split because it's interdependent. But there is always a dualistic confusion we have in our mind. Dualistic, how do we relate to this space? Then if you say meditate on emptiness, you try to think empty. That's mental creation, that's not empty. That's again fixation, in other words. Then if you say, okay, now meditate on something, then you go to the fixation. So you're always missing the secret there. How indivisible these two are, like oneness between interdependent and emptiness. So always for us, either is yes or no. No, yes, yes, no. Nothing, the reality is neither yes nor no, because it's non-dual, ultimate. But then our habits come very strongly, and so we are so attached, clinging, So any like form, sound, smell, we get so attached and they see them as eternal, something so real. And of course, then we see change happening, and then we get the biggest shock in our life. And we get offended. How this change is happening, whether in my different life situation, I expect this to be like this forever, and now it's change. And you get the biggest shock in your life. Because you have been so habituated in fixation, looking at things as fixation. Therefore, this practice of meditation allows you to get close to reality, like opening yourself up. And so you're taught to go beyond fixation. Don't go after thoughts, now suppress the thought. If you suppress the thought, again, you're in the wrong spot. If you go after the thought, then you get fixation as independent. Because the habituation, you instantly, get right back into the trap of these two states of mind. Either nothing nihilistic or something eternalist. And both are, when you investigate, when you check, analyze, they're not the true nature. So therefore, even in America, we have in school evolutionary basis in creationism. There was a big issue, in the newspaper I saw. So basically, it's interdependent versus independent. In other words, it's also talking about that. So, so we're making a big deal all the time for nothing, actually. We are dead serious that, I don't believe in anything like nihilistic, or I believe in everything and become puritanical. And that creates lots of problem in life. There's no sense of humor. We lost our sense of humor, and we are like a deadly person, deadly eternalist or deadly nihilist. Nothing like opening mind. You cannot joke. It's like, if you can't joke, if you can't have a sense of humor, that's a not very good situation in life. So one needs to have, the sense of opening up, going beyond fixation. And so that you come to gain through meditation practice. Why meditation practice is so important? Very simple, the method is. Neither you go after the thoughts, nor you suppress the thought. But, but when we try to do that, yes, mind will go after thought. Or you will, at some point, the thoughts get too strong, some memory comes, bad memory, then you want to stop it. That's our first reaction. You want to stop that. And something beautiful, then you try to think something beautiful. Then you get again caught there. And then once in a while, kind of like a gap opens. And since you didn't have patience, you get into boredom. Sometimes, yes, open joy, it will last. But the experience changes. Sometimes like a boredom. There's a boredom also in meditation. The boredom state we don't like. We want to shift from that boredom state. And then either we look for some ideas, nice idea, and then you are told to go after the thoughts is not the right thing. And then you try to just like give up. You're like spaced out. Spaced out, I don't know, I just like, Rinpoche says, don't suppress the mind, don't go after. I just don't know what to do. So, I should look for bliss. I should look for some opening. So the more you make those contrived effort, the more mind will get tighter and tighter and tighter. So you need like Therefore, in meditation, yes, you have to do meditation, but do it in a carefree approach, meditation. Not too, if you love your mind too much, I should have this experience, I should have this, that's loving too much. That's not the right thing. If you really love your mind, you need to give freedom to your mind, actually. You try to make your mind like closed up. That's not loving mind. Today I heard in America, oh, you got to love this. Different groups, you should love this way, you should love this way. You should love yourself so much. It will make person more fearful deep inside. You get so vulnerable, So so do the meditation in a carefree approach. Not like, this has to be like this. A little bit. Even if it goes wrong, fine. You can always, it will correct by itself. That's the nature of the mind. Mind can correct by itself. Therefore, because it can correct by itself, the teachers tell the student, go and meditate for a month, or go and meditate for a day, or two, or whatever the period, because it will correct itself. When you do it, if you don't do it, of course, there's nothing will happen. The mind has the potential to correct itself with the method shown by the teacher how to meditate, following properly. Because your mind has all the potential quality in itself. It's organic thing. It's not, you're bringing the organic quality of the mind. That's what is correct itself. If it's like a contrived, fabricated belief, then it cannot correct. Then it will not correct. Then, you are told, you do this thing, then you get wrong, you'll be punished, and then guilt feeling and all this rest. That's not how it's get correct. To the point, you may be distracted for half an hour in meditation, but it says, don't go do the guilt trip meditation. On the spot, moment you see you've been lost, just correct it, that's it. Oh, this is bad, I've been, distracted, I shouldn't have done that. No, you don't want to do that. Because then that itself is a conceptualization, an affliction, and then aggression, and the rest will come with that. So on the spot, when you see you've been distracted, go back to the meditation right away, and it will correct itself. It will correct itself. Because you're not fabricating. The guilt is a fabrication in that. It's a mental state. So you don't do that in meditation. Guilt may be sometimes beneficial, like in, you harm someone in an action state. Then you feel, oh, this is not good with that. That's coming out of compassion. Or I shouldn't have harmed him or hurt her like that. That's coming out of your compassion. So there are times where it can have you, shape you better. But normally, as far as the deeper level of awareness is concerned, you don't get to the deeper level if you just engage in deep guilt or getting lost or suppressed. Those are all not the right state of meditation. Because the mind will correct itself again. It has the potential to correct itself. So how does it correct itself? Now the physical posture. You sit in the right posture, and the mind should be alert, awake when you do meditation. Shouldn't be sleepy. Drowsiness are obstacle for the mind to heal itself or correct itself. Because if you lie down in the wrong posture, then you will fall asleep. So it doesn't benefit you. So you need to sit a little bit straight like this, your body straight, and your back straight, and then relax, completely relax. And then with your breathing, breath goes out naturally, breath comes in naturally. Your mind is with the breath. So of course the mind will cannot last long time. It will think something and it goes away. But the breath reminds you, is the measurement that you need to come back. And then again, you can say thoughts, emotions, imagination, whatever arises, they're all labeling thoughts, labeling emotions, labeling this, and then just go back to that. Just that method. The method is simple, just that. And when you keep doing that, at some point, because now the minds get grounded, mind is here and now, and the mind is calm, mind is settling, and then all afflictions disappears. It's like, I use the example many times, if you stir up the water, it will get murkier in the sand water. You go to the beach, you stir things, it gets more murkier. So how do you deal to make it clear water? You don't do anything, just leave it. All the sand will settle down and the water will get clear. You will see the stones and whatever is in the ocean or river, you will see things clearly. Same thing with the mind. It heals itself, that's what I mean. When you leave the mind in its place, it may take time to get to this place, but you will get there. You cannot escape from that. When you sit, you will get there. And then it's very calm, and mind's quality, calm abiding, bliss, joy. It has not a nature of pain and suffering and conflict. It's a state of bliss, joy, and clarity. And then because it's able to settle the afflictions, all conflict coming in your mind, then you begin to feel, intuition, clarity, very artistic, creationism, in the positive way. And that includes compassion, and gradually more compassion, more clarity, more wisdom, more sense of humor, more joy. And then you transcend from all those afflictions. So this is the benefit that we always think that the answer is some outside. Answer is not outside. Answer is in the mind. Therefore, meditation practice is so important. You have to sit, and if you do a weekend meditation in your own home, like morning until evening, then you can really see the calm abiding coming to you. And then you get confidence in yourself. Finally, you will get confidence whether you walk, whether you eat, whether you sleep. That state is there. And so easy to get back through your mindfulness. But when we have no meditation, mind is always rushing out, distracted here, past thought, present thought, future thought. Not for a moment the mind is resting, isn't it, really? Not for 1 second mind rests. It's just like a crazy, gone here, gone there, lost all the time. And all with afflictions. Anger comes, jealousy comes, this comes, that comes. So much suffering. So one's own affliction created that. We can't blame to demons, we can't blame to Satan. All those are labeling. Our own neurosis is labeling those. There's nothing other than that. So if there is the biggest demon, is our own afflictions. That's the most dangerous one. Because this affliction has only one job, assigned one job. It's to give you pain all the time. There's no other job it has. Constantly give you pain, day and night. Night in your sleep, dream, daytimes, wherever you are. That's all it does. And destroy your happiness, destroy others' happiness. Therefore, the practice of patience, compassion, tolerance, very important. From that point in Christianity, like Jesus said, if one slap here, take the slap from the others. Wonderful. I'm not saying you should go and get slapped, Slap me, please. But it's a meaning. Meaning, be more patient. That's what it meant. Shouldn't be taken as literally, So anyway, the practice of compassion and practicing, here when we talk meditation, we're really learning about the mind itself. Because mind is more, in a way, mind itself is more neutral, open. You can shape the mind in good thoughts, and you can shape the mind in bad thoughts, right? Because it's open. It's more neutral ground, open ground. If it's not an open ground, you cannot shape different things. You can train yourself, you can train to think this way, you can train to think that way. It's allow the possibility in that open space. So when you meditate, you're getting to that open space, but at the same time, when we say thoughts and emotions and conceptuals, they are like the mind's waves. They are not separate from the mind. Like ocean and the ocean waves are same. Ocean and ocean waves are not separate. No matter how much the wave arises, even 100 meters wave, it finally has to dissolve in the ocean itself. There's no other place to dissolve. Same thing, no matter what kind of thoughts, conceptuals, emotion arises, finally it will dissolve in the mind, not outside. Not outside. The mind thoughts will not solve, our thoughts will not solve outside. It will solve in our own mind. So all the thoughts are like the waves, mind expression. And so when we do meditation practice, it's settling down in the mind. You see, that's how it goes back into the mind. And then, then it's become free of reflection, then mind has clarity on a very, very subtle level, that it has the clarity to maintain that and then transcend from confusion and affliction. So that's very deeper level after long meditation. So something like that. So shall we do meditation now? Okay. So if you have a question, also I want to say, you see, philosophy, we should check different religion. But we must respect all religion. That's very important, religious harmony. Because not Buddhism is, even, it's very profound, but then you can't say it's the answer for everyone, right? To some people, other traditions are very good. They need to go through that for the time being. Then later, then they can go deeper and deeper. Some people are not ready for something so deep from the very beginning. So, like teaching of Hinduism has helped billions of people. We must respect that. Even it's eternalistic, to some people needed that. We've got to respect that. Christianity has billions of people. We have to respect that. So, but we must investigate, since freedom and liberation is only you can do it. So therefore you need to investigate different philosophical meaning, because finally it comes to you. And only you can liberate yourself. No one else can do that for you. So from that point, we must check it out, study, investigate, then see what is beneficial. At the same time, respect all tradition. I think that's very important. So questions? Any questions?
Thank you, Rinpoche. This question is about... let's see, there we go, okay, thanks. So one time there was a man in a group who practiced meditation a lot, and he said, in a way sort of admitting, he said, meditation is an indulgence. And then I also remembered a neighbor of mine one time whose wife complained that he was always meditating. She said he meditates 6 hours a day, and he's never helping with anything. And have you ever seen that case of meditation as an indulgence or versus a healthy practice, or a borderline between the two? Or I was just interested to hear of anything you've noticed about that.
It's difficult to answer that. It's not an indulgence, for sure. Depends how you meditate. It can be indulgence. I also have to say that depends how you meditate. If you meditate in the right way, it transcends you from indulgence. But if you don't know how to meditate properly, it can be dangerous also. Meditation, because my teacher, Soksir Rinpoche, told me this story when he was in Bodh Gaya. And Rinpoche was doing, walking around the stupa. In Asia, people circumambulate the stupa. It's a main place where Buddha achieved enlightenment. So there are a lot of pilgrims come in winter. Thousands of people come. So he saw in the garden, there was a Caucasian woman and I think an Indian guy teaching her meditation. So Rinpoche did 1 round, he saw them. 2 rounds, he saw them. Then 3rd round, he's no longer there, she's by herself. And the 4th round, she gone crazy, shouting and like that. So what happens, without a teacher, without properly guidance of meditation, some people go too tight. Then it can make the mind crazy if it's too tight. So here's a story, another story by Buddha. Buddha's nephew, I think it was nephew, he tried to meditate, he couldn't get meditation properly. Then he was a great pianist. So Buddha said, how do you play the piano? Pianist, right? Violin. And with a tight string or loose string. He said, no, if you play too tight, the sound will not come good. If it's too loose, it will not come good. You need the right balance. But I said, meditate in the same way. You know, not too tight, like it's too good to be true. Like you get, then your mind builds up a fixation there. And then if it's too loose, then string completely loose, there will be no violent sound. Same thing, if you get completely distracted, no meditation will be there, no awareness will be there. So for the awareness to build up, you need like a balance. Just simply, like when you, as I said, no need to have the guilt feeling. The moment you recognize you are distracted, just go back to the meditation. That's it. Now, as far as when you're in a home, like if you have a partner and you meditate for 6 hours, and the partner has to cook and clean and everything, that you need to again have a balance there. Otherwise, there will be problem. Now, if you are completely by yourself, then, there's no one to tell you what. So there's a saying that in India, you don't see in America. In India, the women wear a lot of bangles. Then it makes like clang, 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 clang sound, It's just that, of course, all the bangles. He says, too many bangles make clanking sound. Even two make a sound. If there is just like, one bangle, it makes no sound. So if you're just by yourself, then you can do however you like. But if you're with a partner, I think you have to respect that also and, help in cleaning and cooking and all those things. But you can keep your awareness. That doesn't mean that you should be gone in the wind affliction. That's no excuse. But in order to have that effect in post-meditation state will depend on your meditation state. If you don't have stability in your meditation, you forget about post-meditation. It's gone in the wind. You can't handle that. Therefore, everyday sitting is very important. Then you get some stability in your mind. Then you'll be able to function, even you're washing dishes or cleaning, your mind is not completely gone. It's so much more calm, abiding in clarity. And so I wouldn't call it indulgence. It may appear like from your partner, of course, she's or he's cooking and then one is not doing anything, definitely looks like that. You're welcome.
Rinpoche, there's an online question.
Yes?
Sometimes I experience anxiety when I meditate. When this happens, I notice it and I try to acknowledge it and let it go. Is that a good approach, or is there any advice to work with anxiety when it arises?
Do you have any better method than letting go? Of course, I'm joking. Yes, you have to recognize and let go. It's easy to say, right? But the anxiety is there, pain. It's like energy, anxiety. Even theoretically, but it's still lingering there. You need to get out of that. You need to let go. But then, sometimes it's so strong, then you push it further, let go. It can create more anxiety. You see, there's also that possibility to happen. you're feeding more to the anxiety. You don't know how to settle it by itself. So when anxiety comes, if you couldn't let go, then how about just allow the anxiety to come instead of fighting against it? It's Lord, don't go against the current, go with the flow. If you go against, our basic ordinary way of dealing with thoughts is going against current. We fight with that. And when you fight, it's struggle, mental problem. Then you and your projection, there's a love and a hate relationship. Then you struggle with that. You don't know how to deal with that. Because most of the time, 100%, people don't know how to have its energy flow by itself. So therefore, always there is a struggle. So don't fight with that. If anxiety comes, whatever, if it's too strong, allow it to come. Then it will dissolve. Like all the anxiety comes from the mind, it will dissolve in the mind. Like all the waves come from the ocean, it has to go back into the ocean. There's no other place. Any other questions? Yes. We don't allow, that's the problem. And if we allow, we always allow in the wrong way, fighting against the current. You see, and we try to change things, fabricate things, make it this way, and then it gets worse, it gets more and more. So in meditation, you're learning, you're gaining confidence in your mind, how the flow of the mind. So allow that. And then it will dissolve. Yes?
Rinpoche, thank you for your teaching. Earlier you referenced post-meditative state, post-meditation. As a new meditator, what does that look like? So we sit on the cushion and meditate, and what is post-meditation?
Post-meditation, when you get up from the cushion, when you walk, when you talk, when you drive, when you eat, when you're talking, everything is post-meditation, all of those. Meditation is called samadhi when you sit, your mind is focused. Now when you get up, your mind should be like that actually, but mind would not because the external phenomena, sight, smells, taste, all these are so powerful that it will suck you right into that. So how much you get sucked into that, or how much you can find balance and sanity, depends on your sitting practice. And mindfulness. So when that is happening, you should have a presence of mindfulness. But again, able to have that presence depends on your sitting practice daily. If you don't have a stability in your mind, the mind will just go right away. Okay, so let's do world peace prayer. In the world in general and in this nation, may not in the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not in the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience, thus defeat the neurosis,
negative actions which are the enemies.
From the turbulence waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death.
Existence.
May all beings be liberated.
Thank you. Thank you.